In this podcast episode, Jimmy Carr shares deep reflections on his intense touring schedule, the structure and craft of comedy, mental health, societal challenges, and cultural issues in the UK and beyond. He explores how comedy acts as a form of authentic communication and social connection, while also dissecting the dynamics of anxiety, obsession, and flow states. The conversation touches on timely societal concerns, including generational divides, political dysfunction, drug policy, and technological disruption. Carr also discusses his personal journey and evolving approach to comedy, creativity, and performance. Jimmy Carr describes an unusually demanding touring schedule, performing approximately 250 to 300 shows a year, often doing 2 shows a night. This high volume of performances is more than just repetition. It is continuous iteration. He constantly refines his material by testing new jokes in every show, keeping the experience fresh and intellectually stimulating. Carr compares the accumulation of stage time to that of an airline pilot's hours in the sky, noting that this experience greatly reduces stage anxiety. For him, performing is a joy rather than a stressor, with the real hassle being the travel involved. Carr dives into the nature of anxiety and overthinking, characterizing anxiety as thought without control, whereas a flow state is control without thought. On stage, he inhabits a flow state fueled by routine and experience, allowing him to perform effortlessly and be present with the audience. He notes that chronic worry often results from people lacking agency or control, highlighting that much of the anxiety seen in society is a product of complexity rather than difficulty. He advocates for finding activities that induce flow as a powerful antidote to stress and overthinking. The discussion shifts to societal structures contributing to widespread anxiety and depression. Carr emphasizes that mental health problems are not solely individual failings, but systemic issues arising from fragmented communities and isolating social trends. He stresses the importance of social cohesion, shared purpose, and collective solutions, lamenting the atomization of modern life and the rise of isolated individualism. He notes that activities like gangs or social groups, despite their negative connotations, can fulfill vital social needs by providing accountability and camaraderie. Carr presents provocative views on substance use, suggesting that young people under 30 should not legally consume marijuana, as it can undermine ambition during formative years. He advocates for legalizing drinking under controlled social settings, such as pubs with group attendance requirements, to reduce harms associated with solitary drinking. Gambling is discussed as a metaphor for taking risks on oneself, rather than online betting that fuels desperation. His stance reflects a preference for regulated, socially embedded activities that foster connection rather than isolation. Addressing macroeconomic challenges, Carr critiques the UK's competitiveness, high energy costs, bureaucratic red tape, and overvalued currency, arguing for radical reforms including currency devaluation, tax simplification, deregulation, and long-term energy planning centered around nuclear power. Comparing the UK to Estonia's lean tax system, he highlights the need to attract entrepreneurs rather than lose them to brain drain. On U.S. politics, he suggests open primaries and term limits to reduce partisanship and improve governance, criticizing entrenched elites and systemic failures in the checks and balances system. Comedy is portrayed both as an art and a craft, combining rigorous writing with instinct and audience feedback. Carr emphasizes that joke writing is the core work, often solitary and unglamorous, while stage performance is the culmination of that preparation. He describes stand-up comedy as a process of organizing thoughts and authentic self-expression. Comedy challenges audience patterns, creating moments of cognitive dissonance that stimulate new perspectives. Carr also discusses comedy's role in pushing societal boundaries by expanding conversational Overton windows and enabling more open dialogue on difficult topics. Carr shares how his style has evolved to include more crowd work and sincere moments as opposed to purely rehearsed jokes. He believes the authentic, unfiltered interaction with audiences fosters a stronger connection, likening it to conversations between close friends with little social filter. He notes that comedy can blend humor with earnestness, and that audiences crave authenticity, but often show ambivalence or skepticism toward overt emotional vulnerability. Managing public and private personas while silencing detractors is an ongoing tension for performers pushing emotional and comedic limits. Confidence is framed as emerging from accumulating irrefutable proof of competence rather than innate talent. Carr underscores the importance of small, manageable daily systems over lofty goals, stating your goals will be beaten by your systems every time. Persistence, continuous improvement, kaizen, and resilience against external criticism and internal doubt propel growth. Overcoming cynicism is crucial, as fear of judgment often inhibits starting or experimenting. He encourages embracing discomfort, iteration, and boldness to evolve creatively and professionally. Gratitude is seen as a foundational disposition that shapes happiness far more than external position or circumstance. Carr practices gratitude regularly and links celebration to gratitude in action, emphasizing communal experiences as vital for meaningful acknowledgement of progress. He warns of the cultural tendency among high performers to view success merely as a baseline expectation, fueling a perpetual treadmill of performance without pause for reflection. Cultivating a balanced mindset that values progress fosters contentment and motivation. Carr critiques modern media and technological environments for amplifying anxiety by flooding people with overwhelming, uncontrollable information, notably negative news. He discusses the addictive nature of social media and smartphones, likening them to digital labor camps, capturing attention and fracturing focus. While recognizing technology's potential, he warns of maladaptive habits and encourages deliberate disconnection practices. He views AI as a tool, comparable to a musical instrument, that requires skill and intention to create value rather than replace human creativity. The conversation explores broader societal fractures, including increased polarization, erosion of trust in institutions like media and academia, and rising inequality. Carr references thinkers like Peter Turchin on the dangers of overproducing elites who feel betrayed when promised social mobility fails, fostering counter-elite movements and revolutionary sentiments. He contrasts US and UK cultural narratives, noting British emphasis on social conformity and skepticism toward individual exceptionalism versus enduring belief in the American dream. The challenge of balancing equality aspirations with abundance and innovation is highlighted. Carr differentiates between discipline, making yourself do something, motivation, wanting to do it, and obsession, feeling you cannot not do it. Obsession is identified as the most powerful driver for mastery, but is also temporary and unpredictable. He advises embracing phases of obsession wholeheartedly when they arise for maximal compound growth. Motivational states are flexible and partly social, while discipline provides a fallback when passion wanes. He encourages pursuing pursuits that feel like play but appear as work to outsiders, recognizing that many high achievers are serial obsessives cycling through intense commitments. Using Portugal's progressive drug policy as a case study, Carr points to its success in reducing addiction and crime by legalizing drugs and redirecting funds to rehabilitation and housing. He acknowledges the complex interplay of addiction, mental health, homelessness, and economic policy, suggesting that system-wide approaches rather than punitive laws are more effective. Discussing fentanyl and the opioid crisis, he underscores the devastating social impacts of drug epidemics worsened by inadequate safety nets, acknowledging the limitations of current approaches to deeper societal problems. Carr expresses a mixture of pride and frustration about British culture. He cites tall poppy syndrome and class rigidity as internal obstacles, but urges greater collective pride in Britain's historical achievements and cultural contributions, from science to music. He argues for embracing national identity without shame, recognizing that a sense of belonging and positive cultural narratives are crucial in a fragmented world. Local community connections remain a source of resilience, even as globalization and technology challenge traditional bonds. He views comedy not merely as entertainment, but as an important mode for self-expression, personal growth, and social commentary. Learning to craft jokes teaches ordering thoughts, clarity of communication, and authentic voice, skills valuable across life domains. Comedy's iterative nature, with immediate audience feedback, makes it a unique art form that fosters creativity and resilience. Carr is passionate about democratizing comedic skills, believing that anyone with a story to tell can learn to be funny, and that the craft benefits from dispelling myths of innate talent. The episode closes with reflections on the tumultuous present moment marked by geopolitical complexity, economic challenges, social dislocation, and technological disruption. Carr calls for statesmanlike leadership capable of long-term vision rather than short-term politics. He emphasizes the need for realism and pragmatism in addressing deep-rooted problems while nurturing an abundance mindset. Despite uncertainty and upheaval, he maintains cautious optimism rooted in human resilience and potential for renewal through collective effort, creativity, and embracing change.